Now that I've been working as a photographer for over a decade, I can say that it's a pretty great job. And if you're interested in photography as a profession, today we're going to talk about some of the key things that can move you from a hobbyist to a professional. A quick thanks to Acer for sponsoring this video. We're also going to take a quick look at their new Concept D7 laptop, which is made just for creators. I run a photo and video business with my wife, Anya. We shoot a lot of travel, lifestyle, fashion, photography, and video. We're on the go most of the time. Our business is really diversified, so I'd recommend thinking about that for yours as well. Sometimes we're shooting for, let's say, a marketing campaign where the images will be printed. Sometimes it's just for social media. And we also sell stock photography, and having that variety of things means that we can sleep a bit easier at night as freelancers. Step number one, this is a big one. You need to be great at photography. Hopefully you didn't expect that to be covered in this 10-minute video because it takes a long time, takes a lot of work to really improve your skills, but needless to say, they need to be good if you're going to be charging people money for it. Gear is not important, but it really kind of is. If you're anything like me, watching gear videos takes up way too much of your time. And I know in a lot of those ones, they're going to say that, hey, it doesn't really matter. The gear, the best camera is the one that you have with you. That is true. But once you want to be a professional, expectations start to change. You don't need all of the best, most expensive gear out of the gate, but you are expected to show up with something that is going to be better than what the client has themselves. So if you just, if you're planning on just shooting on your phone, they've already got a phone and they're not going to feel that you're a real professional. And great photos don't have to be taken on the most expensive gear. If you look at your favorite photographers, I'm sure you won't know which images were shot on a $2,000 camera or a $10,000 camera. But there's a few basics I'd look for when you're buying a camera, like minimum 20 megapixels, good low light ISO, and sharp lenses. The cheap kit lenses that come with your camera, they work sometimes, but clients are going to expect a little more. And of course, your computer is a very important piece of that gear, which brings me to Acer, the sponsor of this video. Their new Concept D series of laptops is made just for creators. I mean, it's got the specs to be a gaming laptop, but how about something that was designed for us, the photographers, illustrators, filmmakers, 3D artists that have specific requirements that aren't the same as the gaming community. And let's see how this laptop fits into our next tip. Get comfortable with your technology. I've known quite a few photographers that are incredibly skilled. They have a great eye for composition and lighting, but they're kind of afraid of the technical aspects of their camera, which makes sense. There's a lot of artistically minded people that get into it, and they don't necessarily want to be thinking technically while they are being inspired. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't trust a carpenter that's afraid of his hammer. So if you're buying a new creator PC, what are you looking for in it? If you're using Lightroom, you're going to want a really fast CPU since that's where it leans on the most. And in Photoshop, you need to have a good GPU. Otherwise, pixels on screen can start to really slow down. You need some power behind it, especially if you're sending the signal out to a big monitor. The Concept D comes equipped with the 9th generation Intel Core i7 9750H processor and the GeForce RTX 2080 with Max-Q design. It can handle your UHD Premiere exports or your AAA games without breaking a sweat. Of course, you got to move files on and off of the computer. It's got Thunderbolt 3 so that you can have very fast data transfers and USB-A so that you can plug anything into it without any need for dongles. RAM is also critical, especially if you have a bunch of big files open at the same time. 32 gigabytes is what I usually use, and that's what the Concept D can be upgraded to. And don't forget about the display. You need a good display or you don't know what the rest of the world is seeing. It has to be accurate against some kind of standard. The Concept D has a 4K Pantone validated display that supports 100% Adobe RGB with a delta average of less than 2. That means once it's calibrated, it can perfectly match print colors. Of course, if you want to know more, click the link in the description below. Just a few more examples of getting comfortable with gear. One thing I've always said is make sure that you read your manuals when you buy your camera or anything else. You buy your computer, any of it. Learn it inside and out. Learn all the menu systems. Know how to turn color profiles on and off. Just feel very comfortable with manipulating your tools. Otherwise, they will manipulate you. If you know how to use it, you're able to create better photography. One that can take a lifetime to learn, I know for me anyway, is to always be prepared for your shoot. This means things like making checklists of all the gear that is going to be required, which on its own can feel like a full-time job. There's 20 different items that we need at a minimum to go to our most basic types of photo shoots. You might have a different list, but make that kind of list and understand it so that every time you arrive, you are prepared and ready to shoot. And long before you arrive, make sure you double check the call time so you know when you're supposed to be there. And you also take a look at the shot list so you have a clear understanding of what you're doing so that it's not on the spot that you're talking to the client about what it is that they need. You should know before you arrive. And the address, make sure you know where you're supposed to be. That's an easy mistake to make. This one might be easier said than done. Keep everything backed up in real time. You probably already know that you need to back things up, and hopefully, even if you are a non-professional, you already are doing that. But once you're working with other people's photography, it becomes much more important. Some quick tips. If your camera supports it, shoot to 2 memory cards. So then you have a backup right from the beginning, because memory cards fail, this totally happens. And then as soon as you get home, download them and make a second copy right away. And this is what I mean by backing up in real time. There can't be any moments that you only have 1 copy of the file, because someday you will lose it. Once you're home, you've made a backup, that's great, but you're also gonna wanna have an offsite backup. What we do is use cloud services to make sure that something is also synced to the cloud of just our select photos. I mean, we shoot too much to upload everything, so the images we're gonna use, those are in the cloud as raw files, and then also the final JPEGs that we end up delivering to the client, those stay in the cloud and live there forever. By the way, when you're delivering to clients, these days JPEGs are a very acceptable file format. We have very few clients ever asking for TIFFs anymore. This is just in a delivery format. You should be working with raw files, but often clients will only expect JPEGs. Obviously, communicate with your client, find out what they really need. This is what I've noticed lately. Also think about how you're gonna archive your photos forever. I mean, you want to keep them as safe as possible, and a bunch of little drives floating around doesn't always work. We just got a new giant NAS so that we can store all of the archives in one place. If you want to watch videos about backup, I've got those too. I don't know if this one's going to be obvious to you or not. Depends on the kind of photographer you are, but you should try to edit your photos to be perfect at 100%. I mean, when you zoom into 100%, they should be 100% perfect. So what I'm saying is that you can't just edit for Instagram. If it only looks good in a small thumbnail, it doesn't look good, or your client certainly won't think it does. Just think about what's the biggest anybody will ever look at this image and then make it look better a little bit bigger than that, because you don't want other people finding any of the flaws or even seeing that you've done any work to the photo. It should look like it came right out of the camera. This could be a whole video. I don't think people think about this enough. Again, it's a podcast topic I've covered a few times. You need to be able to make a photo work in any environment. So if you show up and the light is terrible, but the client paid you to be there, it's your responsibility to make it work. This can mean a lot of things. It can be bringing the right equipment so you can light the area. It can also mean planning ahead of time and scouting so that you know what time of day you need to be where, or which direction you need to be facing once you are there, or knowing the capabilities of your camera so that if you shoot something that's, say, underexposed, you know how much you can recover the highlights. Understanding all that stuff is required, in my opinion. If you're not comfortable in bad lighting environments, you shouldn't be charging people for your services. Well, I mean, or you can if you're just getting started, but you should be aiming to be comfortable walking into any environment and getting a good photo. This one's so obvious I don't want to have to say it, but I know I do. Show up on time and communicate with your client. Every time you receive an email, make sure that you respond. Don't be late. So many people screw this up. It's shocking to me how many people say they want to do creative work, but it's still more important for them to watch the next episode of their TV show than to spend the night invoicing or responding to the client or whatever it is. There's not a lot of creative jobs in the world, and if you want to have one of them, you have to be responsible. You have to be accountable to your client. And look, I'm going to assume that you are and you've got it all together, because I know I never make mistakes or forget anything, but it is important. By the way, my wife's way better at this than I am. Speaking of things she's better at, accounting. Learn the basics of accounting. I don't know this too well. I mean, I do my best. Before we met, I hired an accountant, but then I married one. Anya's background is accounting, so it's incredibly helpful for our business. If you don't have somebody in your life that really understands, banking and numbers and invoicing and all that stuff, learn the basics. And I know a lot of people get into something creative to avoid this stuff, but if you don't know it, it'll be very hard to run a business. So do the best that you can, read some articles, read some books, and hire a good accountant that cares about your business. This last one, this is a bit of a bonus. You don't have to do this, but I would recommend start learning about filmmaking. And look, I'm biased because this is what we do. We do both photography and filmmaking because I think they go well together. If you've listened to the podcast, I have this idea of the full stack creator. It comes from the idea of a full stack developer where you're able to do every part of a creative project. Photo, video, audio, design, writing, whatever it takes. But the best place to start is just watch movies with a photographer's eye. Look at those moving scenes, pause them if you have to, but just look at them as a still image because they are doing incredible work that I think not enough photographers refer back to for inspiration. I can't tell you how much I've learned from interviews with cinematographers that I also apply to photography now. It's been very helpful. I hope that you have an amazing career ahead of you in photography. And if I haven't plugged my podcast enough times, it's a good place to learn this stuff. We talk a lot about technology, computers, cameras, other YouTubers come on. It's exactly where you want to be if you clicked on this video and especially watched to the end. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.